God, this makes me feel terrible for Henry Cavill. Yeah, I was listening to the podcast that this quote came from, and when I heard James Gunn say this, I just knew this was gonna go viral, and it was something I wanted to make a video about, because if you don't know, obviously at the end of Black Adam, Henry Cavill makes a cameo, and thus confirming at the time that he would be back to play Superman in the DC universe. But that same day, when it was announced that Cavill is returning to this corporate jungle, James Gunn and Peter Safran also inked their deals as co-CEOs of DC Studios and were confused as to what is going on. Like, we have our own plan for our DCU, why are you announcing that Cavill is back? Because that just means we have to deliver the bad news to the fans and Henry that we don't want him in our stories, which is unfair and rightfully so. Because Warner Brothers does not fail to tug on Henry Cavill's hair and annoy him with all this damn Superman stuff. But do you know who I would put even more blame on for Henry Cavill's premature return and awkward exit? I would put more blame on The Rock. He screwed Cavill over.
He's trying to be as diplomatic as possible.
There were other people that had a take on what they wanted to do with it.
They wanted to take on what they wanted to do with DC and were trying to force their way, and it just was never a part of the equation for David Zaslav, who was the head of WBD.
Like, forcing your way into DC and squeezing out your own universe that surrounds around you and Superman. Like, thank goodness James Gunn and Peter Safran weren't intimidated by this and put their kaiju foot down, because the hierarchy of the DC universe did change, and it ended up biting The Rock in the butt. But I just cannot get over the idea that The Rock was forcing his way. Like, what do you think was gonna happen if you did that? The Rock probably went goo gaga to the top dogs in Warner Brothers in hopes of making his own DC universe with Henry, but again, that didn't work out, and hell, he's probably now blacklisted from everything DC. But yeah, I feel bad for Henry, but Gunn did entertain the idea of him showing up as a different character in the DC universe, but that's worthy of a different video.